The world has always seen Nicole Kidman and Keith Urban as one of those perfect couples, two stars shining brightly in their own right, somehow managing to make love look easy in an industry built on chaos. But what people saw on the red carpet, in glossy magazines, and in picture-perfect interviews wasn't the full story. Behind the camera flashes, the smiles, and the carefully chosen words, something fragile had been breaking for years. And now, for the first time, Nicole has finally decided she can't keep pretending. She couldn't keep it in any longer. When Nicole sat down for her latest interview, fans were expecting the usual. A few words about her upcoming projects, a polite laugh, maybe a compliment about her family. But from the moment she began to speak, something in her tone felt different. Her voice trembled slightly, her eyes seemed softer, heavier even, as if she'd been carrying a truth for far too long. And when she finally said, "There are things I stayed silent about for years. Things I just can't carry anymore," the entire room went quiet. For over a decade, Nicole and Keith had been the gold standard of love in Hollywood. From the moment they met at that 2005 G-Day LA event, sparks flew. It wasn't just chemistry, it felt like fate. Nicole was glowing again after her public heartbreak with Tom Cruise, and Keith seemed like the kind of man who could make her feel safe. He was warm, grounded, and had this charming humility that drew her in. Fans loved the way he looked at her, like she was the only woman in the room. But as it turns out, even fairy tales can have shadows hidden between their pages. In the beginning, it was magic. Keith wrote songs about her, serenaded her in front of thousands, and made grand gestures that swept Nicole off her feet. She often said in interviews, "I thank God every day for him." But behind those words was a quieter truth, one that only she and a few close friends knew. The pressures of fame, distance, and personal struggles began to creep into their love story, and soon, the perfect picture started to blur. People close to Nicole noticed it first. She started showing up to events alone, smiling for the cameras, but avoiding questions about Keith. She became more reserved, her interviews shorter, her laughter less natural. One of her friends once described her as a woman trying to hold sunlight in her hands, knowing it was slipping through her fingers. Keith's music career demanded long tours and late nights, and while Nicole was used to the demands of fame, she couldn't shake the growing loneliness. There were missed calls, unanswered texts, and too many nights when she'd fall asleep alone, wondering if love was supposed to feel like waiting. The emotional distance between them began to widen. There were whispers in the industry, rumors about arguments, about Nicole wanting him to slow down, and Keith insisting he couldn't change who he was. But Nicole never addressed them. She stayed loyal to her image, loyal to him. Whenever reporters asked, she'd smile and say, "Marriage takes work. That's all?" But deep down, she knew something was breaking. Then came that moment, that interview. Nicole took a deep breath, her hands trembling just slightly, and said softly, "I've always been good at pretending things were fine. But I can't do that anymore." The host didn't interrupt. They just let her speak. And for the first time in years, Nicole's walls came down. She spoke about love that had turned quiet, about nights when she felt invisible, and about realizing that sometimes holding on can hurt more than letting go. She didn't mention Keith by name right away, but everyone knew who she was talking about. The heartbreak in her voice told the whole story. "When you love someone deeply," she said, "you hope your love can heal everything. But sometimes, love isn't enough when you keep losing yourself trying to save something that's already gone." Those words hit millions like a shockwave. Fans began piecing together moments from the past. Old interviews, public appearances, even the way Keith looked distracted in recent red carpet clips. Suddenly, everything made sense. Behind closed doors, Nicole had been fighting silently. Sources close to her revealed that she'd endured more than anyone realized. Emotional exhaustion, unhealed trust, and a desperate attempt to make things appear perfect. For years, she had hoped things would go back to how they used to be. The laughter, the warmth, the late-night talks. But those moments had faded into memories. One night, after another argument reportedly ended in silence, Nicole sat alone on the porch of their Nashville home, looking out at the stars. The air was still, and for the first time in a long time, she allowed herself to cry. Not because she hated him, but because she realized she couldn't keep giving more than she was receiving. She loved him, one insider said quietly, but she was tired of being the only one holding on. Then came the breaking point. During a family event, something shifted. They were seen arguing quietly, Nicole's expression cold and heartbroken. And when she walked out in tears, the cameras captured that exact moment. It was everywhere the next day. Nicole Kidman walking away, her face pale, her eyes red, refusing to look back. After that, Nicole began focusing on her peace. She started spending more time with her children, took a step back from the spotlight, and surrounded herself with friends who reminded her of her strength. Those close to her noticed a change. It was like she was rediscovering herself, said one friend. She smiled differently, softer, but stronger too. When the world finally heard her say, "I couldn't keep it in any longer," they didn't just hear heartbreak, they heard liberation. For years, she'd been trapped in silence, hiding her pain behind elegance and grace. Now she was done pretending. In that same interview, Nicole admitted something even more raw. She said, "Sometimes love makes you forget who you are. I didn't want to lose myself anymore." Her words were simple, but they carried the weight of years of silence. Meanwhile, Keith's reaction reportedly came through a close friend. He was said to be heartbroken, even blindsided. One source claimed he didn't realize how distant Nicole had become until it was too late. He thought she was just going through a phase, the insider said, but she'd already emotionally checked out. In one of his performances shortly after the interview aired, Keith paused before singing a ballad. He looked out at the audience and said, "Sometimes you don't know what you have until it's gone." Fans immediately connected the dots. Social media erupted. People began revisiting old clips of the couple, those subtle glances, the faint tension, the forced smiles. Fans flooded Nicole's posts with support. "You deserve peace," one comment read. "We're proud of you for finally speaking your truth." But not everyone sided with her. Some questioned the timing. Others speculated about what really went wrong. Rumors began to swirl about jealousy, about unspoken resentments, about careers pulling them in opposite directions. Yet through it all, Nicole stayed silent. Her words had already said everything she needed to. Weeks passed, and something changed in Nicole. She began appearing in public again, this time with a quiet confidence that seemed unshakable. Gone was the overly polished image of perfection. In its place stood a woman who had learned to breathe again. At one event, when asked about her current outlook on love, Nicole smiled gently and said, "Love doesn't disappear. It just transforms, but peace. Peace is something I can't compromise anymore." Her statement went viral. Fans called it her rebirth. Behind the scenes, people close to her said Nicole had finally found balance. She was focusing on her art, reconnecting with her friends, and cherishing her daughters. She wasn't bitter, just wiser. And that quiet strength made her more magnetic than ever. Meanwhile, Keith's behavior started drawing attention too. Some claimed he'd been trying to reach out, while others believed he was channeling his emotions into his music. But Nicole didn't respond publicly. She'd made peace with her truth, and that was enough. A few months later, Nicole appeared on a red carpet wearing a sleek black dress that the media instantly dubbed her revenge dress. She looked radiant, glowing, powerful. Cameras flashed, fans cheered, and headlines exploded. "Nicole Kidman owns the night." But when reporters asked her if it was meant as a statement, she simply smiled and said, "I'm just living freely now." That one line said everything. It wasn't about revenge. It was about release. Nicole had spent years trying to be the perfect wife, the perfect actress, the perfect woman. But in that moment, she was simply herself, and that was enough. Her journey resonated deeply with fans around the world. People began sharing stories of their own, of letting go, of rediscovering strength. of finding peace after heartbreak. And maybe that's what Nicole wanted all along. Not sympathy, but truth. Not pity, but freedom. Her decision to open up wasn't about blaming anyone. It was about breaking the silence that had kept her trapped for so long. She had finally chosen honesty over image, healing over hiding. In her closing words from that same interview, Nicole said softly, "I'll always have love for him. But I had to choose myself this time." Those words lingered, echoing in the hearts of millions. Sometimes the bravest thing a person can do is stop pretending everything's okay. Sometimes love means walking away, even when it hurts. Nicole Kidman had done just that, with grace, dignity, and quiet strength. And as she continues to live her truth, one thing is clear: her story isn't about heartbreak anymore. It's about rebirth. It's about learning that silence doesn't heal wounds, truth does. As the camera fades and her final words replay in slow motion, "I couldn't keep it in any longer." The world doesn't see a broken woman. It sees a survivor, a woman who finally let go so she could begin again.